1. When I was about 3 or 4 years old, I lived with my mom and stepdad in my grandmother's guest house. Her house was across the yard, close to the river, whereas the guest house was out near the pasture and stables. I think it used to be a barn that was remodeled, because there was a running joke about me leaving the door open because, well, I was raised in a barn. At any rate, I had a habit of going out the front door and walking to my grandmother's house in the middle of the night if I couldn't sleep. I think I just wanted her to read to me, and she always stayed up late, so she didn't mind. At first, my mom would freak out because she didn't know where I was. Then I think it turned to jealousy, that I wanted to spend more time with my grandmother. Her solution? Put some different locks on the door so I couldn't get out. I'm surprised at how well I remember this next part. Middle of the night, and I couldn't sleep, yet again. I got up and went to open the door. It wouldn't open. I heard my mom stirring in her bed, so I sat still and stopped messing with the door until she quieted down. But I still couldn't figure out how to open the door. Cue stroke of genius. Go out the back door and climb in between the gate. I walked back, opened the door, and it clicked loudly. I was worried about her waking up if I closed it all the way again, if it made another loud noise. So what did I do? I left it cracked open just a tad, then proceeded to run over to my grandmother's house. The next morning, we were awakened by the sounds of my mother frantically screaming her tits off, looking for me and yelling something about the horse being in the house. Apparently, since I didn't shut the door all the way, he just walked right in. She woke up to him standing next to her bed, breathing on her. When she tried to calmly wake my stepdad up, so he wouldn't freak out and spook the horse, she kinda failed. He freaked out. The horse freaked out. Everybody freaked out. Thus concludes the story of the first time I was ever grounded as a child. Also, I'm still not sure how they got the horse back outside, or what types of locks she put on the doors. Bonus story. My uncle told me the horse was sold to a glue factory when they got rid of him a few months later. I believed it. As I got older, I assumed he had just been sick and died. That is, until a few years ago when my grandmother called me to tell me that he recently died. She sold him to a family down the road from us, and they had him about 20 years. 2. This happened well over a month ago. Our boss invited us all over to his penthouse suite for chili and booze. Of course they, co-workers, had to pre-booze it up downstairs at the bar. Dinner was at 6:30, and we got off work at 5. Needed to find something to do, I guess. Some of the girls were more than lit. I did not have anything to drink, neither did my boyfriend. Everyone else, and their significant others, had plenty. 6:15 rolls around, and they somewhat drunkenly try to find the entrance my boss's wife had emailed us. The secret door, as it came to be known. They stumble conga line style throughout the downstairs while I repeatedly mention that this door is accessible by the outside only. We finally make it outside, around the building, and we find the secret door. We punch in the code, we get the buzz to enter. We fumble around the very small hallway and find the elevator.
Let's go, let's get in everyone. Go, go, go!
I hear this being yelled, cheered if you will. Side note, I am afraid of elevators. I am afraid of heights. When I get on an elevator, my ass goes straight to the corner, gripping the handrails, praying to any god there may be out there. Remember, he is on the penthouse suite. There are no stairs in this hallway, only an elevator. I start talking about how we should take 2 trips, not just one. They did not listen. I gulped in horror as 8 of my co-workers, significant others, stumble into this tiny elevator.
Why is it so tiny?
We punch the number on the pad. We start to go up. My boyfriend jokingly says, Wouldn't it suck if we got stuck? I look at him with scathing hatred and horror. Why would you say that? I whisper vehemently. He smirks and shrugs his shoulders. We hear the ding. We have arrived. The doors start to open, then close back. What? What was that? We push the door open button. Nothing. We nervously start to laugh. No, we can't be stuck. This is crazy. We call our boss and tell him what is going on. He comes out and yells through those steel doors. Are you guys really stuck? We yell back. Yes, please tell us this is not a team building exercise. Because we fail. Let us out. He swears up and down it isn't and tells us to hold tight. He's calling maintenance. We think to try the alarm in the elevator. Nothing happens. It doesn't call anyone. We keep trying. Nothing. No, fuck that. I call 911. It's now been almost 10 minutes. It's getting hot. People are drunk and almost passing out at this point. And it hasn't even been quite 10 minutes. We're frantically searching for an access panel in the roof. We can't find any. There's a drop ceiling type of situation going on for the roof. We have one teeny tiny fan going. Our boss keeps talking to us through the door. He can't get in touch with maintenance. He's calling the front desk. What? No. Someone else calls 911. It's now been 30 minutes. Every move someone makes, the whole elevator shifts. It feels like we are going to fall. Maybe my imagination's now taking things to the extreme, but I swear I felt the elevator slip a few times. We hear loud voices on the other side. Finally! The fire department is here, 45 minutes in. They can't get the door open. Then we hear more loud voices. The fire department is here, they said. Wait, wasn't they just here? No, that was the maintenance that finally made their way up. The fire department finally releases us 50 minutes in. We stumble out of the elevator, soaked through with sweat. The elevator was below the floor level, by about 12 inches, I would say. We get into my boss's place, and all I can think of is, I need air. I go out on the balcony and suddenly remember that we are on the top floor of this place and start to pass out. My boyfriend catches me, takes me inside. Only there's so many people. Why are there so many people? We only had 10 to 15 people there. I couldn't breathe. I tell him to get me out of there. My boss's wife gives me a bottle of water and tells me she will show me to the main elevator. What? Are you kidding me? No, show me the stairs. Wait, main elevator. Yeah, main elevator. The secret door led us to the service elevator. We took the service elevator up. I finally walked down over 12 flights of stairs. Not that 12 flights is a big deal, but I am near passing out the whole way. And finally we get outside, and I can breathe. I had to walk around downtown for a while, before my legs would quit shaking. I haven't been on an elevator since. Probably won't ever be either. It was the same brand as other elevators I've seen get stuck way too often in other buildings I've worked in. And I would just say no to ThyssenKrupp. 3. Yes, this was today. I'm posting this having just left class moments ago. What I will now and in the future refer to as the incident began as a class project in my college sociology course. The class was divided into groups, and each was given a box of supplies and instructions. This was a very simple arts and crafts style project that involved cutting, taping, and writing on construction paper in a very specific order, with a few caveats. We would be awarded points based on the order we completed our projects in, with first place getting the most. We could work with others, but would not be rewarded for doing so. We could not be caught stealing other supplies. If we did, we would be arrested and lose all points. Each point would be added to our grades as an extra credit. All instructions must be followed exactly. Failure to do so would result in disqualification. This is a sociology class, however, so of course there was more to this than it seemed. As soon as we opened our boxes, it was obvious that each group had different supplies. Some lacked scissors, others had the wrong color of pens, and one group had only one copy of the instructions to share between 8 people. One group, however, had it all: pens, scissors, tape, and more instruction pamphlets than people. Because this wasn't our team, I naturally decided to help our team win in the best way I know how. Dirty, underhanded tricks. See, while it was obvious from the instructions that the best equipped group would gain nothing from helping others, not everyone in that group quite understood that, so I approached them in the spirit of solidarity, politely asked them if I could see their supplies, and walked off as soon as they handed them to me. I was immediately accused of stealing, but the professor, who had seen this whole exchange, agreed that they had given me their supplies fair and square. This is where my mistake became evident. It wasn't in tricking another group, that had worked out just fine. The problem was not everyone realized why it had worked, and interpreted it as a green light to steal freely. One person snuck closer, then another, and then one of my classmates, seeing the inevitable, shouted, "Dr. Professor can't arrest all of us!" And the proletariat descended upon them with the fury of a storm. Supplies were fought over, tape wound up tangled in hair, and scissors cut fingers as each group fought to seize the bourgeois wealth. By the time the professor had managed to restore a semblance of order, the classroom was in ruins, lined with the scattered debris of our uprising. We all ended up getting an equal number of bonus points in the end. 4. When I was out in Pennsylvania visiting family, we went out for some classic East Coast pizza. The waiter serving us was pretty cute, and we ended up exchanging phone numbers. Well, a couple weeks later, after no calls or texts, I get a call from a weird number. I ignore it and get back to what I was doing. Again, the number called me. Again, I ignored it. So when the number called me a third time, I answered and screamed into the phone, "I'm about to whip your ass through the phone, so stop bothering me," and hung up. Then I got a text from the number saying, "This is X from the pizza shop. Sorry to bother you. I'll delete your number and won't bother you again." I apologized, but he never messaged me again. I still facepalm myself to this day about doing that. 5. As with most TIFUs, this didn't happen today, but instead about 2 to 3 years ago. Some background first. So, I'm 17 at the time, larger build, about 6 feet, and 200 pounds. That's about 90 kilograms for you non-Americans. In high school, in a small town of about 7,000 people, really unpopular, like the most unpopular one. People liked to pick on me. I liked to hit people who picked on me. The principal was always cool. He was on my side 90% of the time. I was never able to get out of punishment that way, but hey, reduced sentence is fine with me. Senior year, that changed. Welcome to new principal who hates my guts. So the entire year, I've got to deal with this harpy of a principal that will crucify me for the slightest transgression. I do my best to annoy her. She does her best to slap me with the best punishment she can. A sort of hate-hate relationship. I carry around my 1.7 GPA, avoid most homework, and generally not give a fuck. Well, one day I'm waiting with some friends and people who are alright with me but don't necessarily like me. Before school in a park right next to the school, smoking cigarettes before class starts, and this cute girl, henceforth known as Cutie, that I know comes up to me and asks if I would protest with her in the school. I figure, sure, what the fuck, I'll stick it to the man and protest with her. And I'm thinking, there's a pretty fantastic chance of getting laid if this goes down right. She hands me a sign to hold and a mask to wear. I put it on, school starts. We wait a couple minutes and then enter the school. She starts shouting something about something. Honestly, I don't even remember because right about that time I'm thinking, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. This continues for about 5 minutes until we're about halfway down a hallway when the school's resource officer calls out to us. He's a pretty chill dude and friends with all the students, including me. He tells us it's time to stop the protest and come to the office. Me and the cutie back up, hesitant to go with him. He approaches, as officers do. Cutie and I are both figuring out if it's better to give up or book it, when he gets within about 5 feet of us. Officer asks me to give him the sign. I refuse. To this day, I'm not 100% sure why. And in response, he grabs me, shoves me into a corner between the lockers and the hallway's wall. My whole fight-flight response is roaring, and ready to take me the fuck out of there. I resist, full of adrenaline, nicotine, and monster, trying to get out of the corner. Now, only 2 things were in my head at that moment. This dude is attacking me and I need to get the hell out of Dodge. I try to slip past him, he grabs me. I fall, he comes with me. Cutie is just standing there, watching all of this go down. I try to clamber to my feet, but Mr. Officer isn't letting go. He's got my leg with his vice-grip hands and won't let go. He climbs up on top of me, trying to restrain me. I, quite literally, to the amazement of several military recruiters, do a push-up with this cop on my back, and mind you, he's got about 40 pounds on me. Now at this point, 2 neurons just connected inside of Cutie's brain, and she decides it's all gone too far. She tells me to give up, and now 2 neurons connect in my brain, and I realize that at this point, I should just give up, like she says, because there's no way that me escaping is going to make things better. I flatten on the ground and place my hands in a position behind my back to make it easier for him to cuff me, because I just know after that fiasco, this dude wants to put cuffs on me. So, officer cuffs me, and I'm laying there while he radios for SUV with a cell in it to meet him out front. About this time, I look up and see Harpy McHarpyface walking down the hall towards us, with the biggest shit-eating grin I've ever seen. She just got her ammunition to boot me out. I lock eyes with her, and the only thing that comes out of my mouth is, "Wow, you're a total bitch from this angle too." Because, well, why not? I get walked to the front by the officer, all the while apologizing to him because he's my friend and I know he really didn't want to do that. After about 5 minutes of standing around in the world's most uncomfortable handcuffs, the SUV arrives. I'm forced into it. Having your hands cuffed too tight behind your back is seriously uncomfortable. But being forced to sit in a cramped seat with your hands cuffed behind your back is even worse. We arrive at the police station in only a few minutes because it's just a few blocks away. I am ushered through reception, uncuffed, and thrown in a small holding cell with a single yellow chair. That yellow chair wasn't comfortable. Nothing about being arrested is comfortable, don't do it. I sit there for 2 hours. Eventually the door opens, I'm recuffed, and taken to a police cruiser. Q Moore sitting in a car in the most uncomfortable position. We arrive at the juvenile detention facility in the bigger city nearby, and I am left in their care uncuffed. I am handed a set of clothing and a tiny bit of soap before being ushered into a small shower room. Here I get to experience my first ever strip search. How fun. I strip down, show the dude I'm not hiding anything in my butt, and he leaves me to shower and get dressed, which I do quickly. I get led to a cell, where I will wait in my brand new orange outfit until the courthouse is ready to talk to me. I sit there for another 2 hours, get the worst sandwich I've ever had, courtesy of the county, and I'm escorted out in, I shit you not, leg shackles, handcuffs in front this time, and a stomach restraint to which my cuffs are attached. I get driven to the courthouse by a random officer, and we take the elevator up to the correct floor. We proceed down a hallway to come into the courtroom from the far side near the judge. But to get there, we have to pass the entrance to the front of the courtroom, where my Gram just happens to be sitting with my brother's adorable daughter, who asks simply in the most adorable way possible, "Why is the Pew Pew 1337 in handcuffs?" I enter the courtroom, am made to sit, and cue 20 minutes of everyone talking about what to do with me. They decide I should be released to my mother, so I'm taken back to juvenile hall for out-processing after signing my name on some papers, which really isn't that easy to do when your hands are cuffed to your stomach. I get my clothes and belongings back at juvie and am made to wait at reception until my mother arrives. She arrives, waiting by her car while the receptionist talks to me. I walk out, and all she says is, "I'm so fucking proud of you right now." This takes me completely off guard, because while my mom is a weirdo and a bit of a hippie, I was sure she'd murder me for this. Well, apparently she was really proud of me for protesting something I didn't like. I didn't ever tell her I was just looking to get laid, and we go home. It was decided I'd do 12 hours of community service, which I ended up doing. The fun part is that the principal was ready to expel me, but my mom had to go have a talk with her. There's a reason I don't mess with my mom, and this is one of several reasons why. She went in there and the principal and vice principal were tearing into her about how I'm a terrible person and am a danger to the school and should be expelled. My mom didn't like this, fired off some hot, angry words, and somewhere along the line mentioned that a certain pocket on her purse, which she motioned to, was her gun pouch. I ended up getting 2 weeks of vacation out of school with my grades not being affected, and no homework pile-up when I got back. Me and Cutie never got to screw, pretty sure she really didn't want to have anything to do with me, because while all of my in-processing and out-processing was going on, the school district was put into lockdown because apparently 2 kids had spread a rumor successfully through that school that I had a gun and was planning on shooting people. That part spread through the town and made it extremely hard to get a job, because now everyone thinks I'm a domestic terrorist. The 2 weeks of vacation concluded, and I returned to school. Turns out that the rumor ended up making me the single most feared kid at my school, because no one wanted to pick on me, hit me, or mess with me in any form after that. My grades also improved to a 3.5 GPA before I graduated. Turns out too that a girl who ended up becoming my girlfriend had watched the whole thing go down from the hallway. But this isn't a love story. She was a cunt. Ended up later getting a real fun job at a sporting goods warehouse in the bigger city though. Got to pack guns and ammo and fun stuff like that, because being known as the terrorist kid makes it difficult to get a job. Prior to the incident, I had aspirations of joining the military, probably the USMC, but having 4 misdemeanors on your FBI record makes that much harder, especially when one of those is assault on a police officer, which I never did. Dude just lied about me hitting him. What a dill pickle. Moral of the story? Don't get arrested, and doing work to get laid is only worth it up to a point, especially when you never actually get any. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 5 True Embarrassing Stories, episode 18. Want to say thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories, much appreciated. And of course, I'd also like to say thank you and welcome to my new subscribers. I've noted I just passed the 24,000 mark. That was a very nice surprise to wake up to the other day, so thank you very much for that. Just installed a new graphics card in my system, so I'm a bit nervous about making these videos because it's the first time I've done anything with that. I think I've got it all set up, it seems to be working fine. I've just never actually done any video making with this card in my system, so cross all your fingers and toes and hope for the best. Okay, so a lot of work ahead of me, so I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, Thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.